They're not very big, they're about this size. Yeah. They're good, they have great flavor.
Good.
Yeah.
Very good. Just send Luke to pick some up. I think Bill's got his all cleaned out except for turnips and beans.
Yeah, I have to slow down and make sure my tomatoes are watered. So they made a mention that tomatoes might still need water, so I have to put it in there and check.
Well, they left, the email said they left the
The hose on for that
Yeah.
reason, yeah.
so that's a good thing.
Yeah. Marie, you do the scheduling for this, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
I was just gonna say, if you run out of things to schedule, I could give a talk about what my job was,
Great.
but I'm
We'll
not
talk
here,
about it
just
then.
if you need something.
Are we on, June? Okay, it's 4:00. Oasis today is brought to you by the Timbercrest Memoir and Vignette Group. We meet the second and fourth Tuesday afternoons at 2:00, and we just recently moved to the guest dining room so we can hear each other better. You're welcome to come anytime just to listen if you don't want to write stories of your own. Jane Starner started this group about 8 years ago. And about a year in, the topic Jane gave us was for each person to write a story from a picture that she handed out. Well, we felt it was time to do that again. So in May of this year, the picture you see on the screen popped up during a Google search for something appropriate. You will hear that each of us give this man a different name, a different location, and you'll hear quite a variety of situations. Each person will introduce themselves as they read their story. I am Marie Willoughby. You're looking quite sad today, Victor. I hope I'm your last customer this evening. Well, yeah, things haven't been going so good lately. And no, I can't leave here yet. I really do need some more business before I leave. You've been working at this location for a long time, haven't you? I know I've used your stand for 5 years now. And I really appreciate that, Tom. I look forward to the times you come through here and stop by for a shine. If you're willing to share, can you tell me what's making life so heavy for you these days? I'm not getting any younger, as you can see. Sitting here all day hoping for steady work is getting harder, and I don't feel well most of the time. I am glad for all the work I can get, the shining shoes, the repairs I can make, but I'm more tired than I like. And what do I have to go home to nowadays? It's lonely there, too. How long has it been since she's been gone? A year? More like 2 years, and I still miss my Annie. It makes me sad thinking about it. She was my love, my life, my energy. I remember a few of the stories you told me about her and the suppers you always looked forward to having when you closed down here. Are you eating enough these days? Probably not. Getting food home and trying to fix a meal for myself is difficult. Once in a while, though, Maxine comes by with a good hot meal for me. I could be worse off if she wasn't in the picture. I should tell her more often how I appreciate what she's doing for me. Tell you what, Victor, I have a few things to do over in the shop, but I'll be back in about an hour and a half. Then you and I are going to Friday's and have a good supper together, okay? Thank you, Tom. Yes, that's okay. You are such a bright spot in my life when you come around for a shine. I'll enjoy spending some more time with you this evening. God bless you. And God bless you too, Victor. See you later.
I'm Darlene Hunt. Sitting under the L tracks at Wabash Avenue and Lake Street in Chicago, Carl is debating a solution to an unusual problem. One of his frequent customers has arrived, not only for a regular shoe shine, but a shoe repair. On the way to work in the loop on his motorcycle this morning, his left foot hit a patch of gravel that caused severe scratches and a cut on his expensive leather athletic shoe. With an important interview coming up in an hour in the popular Elephant and Castle pub, his customer wants to look his best. Carl knows the importance of an immaculate appearance, having once been general manager of the Ritz-Carlton Hotel, located in the Chicago Water Tower, one of the few buildings that survived the Great Chicago Fire in 1871. Having retired with honors 25 years ago, and with no immediate family nearby, Carl, in keeping with his creative and adventurous spirit, took up shoe shining in order to keep in touch with the young men and women employed in his old work neighborhood. The familiar stores and restaurants bring back wistful memories of his more active days in Chicago's Loop. Carl arrives at his spot under the L tracks at 7 a.m. every weekday morning. A local hobby shop owner allows him to store his polishes and his repair kits in his store. Carl lives a few miles from the Loop and rides the L from his apartment to his new office. Many former suit trousers have been discarded due to the city's dirt, grime, and flakes of shoe polish that fall as he works diligently on someone's shoes. It's a relief not to have to worry about appearing in tip-top shape at the office in his best clothes, but one thing Carl won't compromise on is his footwear. Usually he will spend upwards of $1,500 plus for a fine pair of Italian leather walking shoes at Saks Fifth Avenue. Today, looking at the ripped and scratched tip of his customer's shoe, he realizes that the repair cannot be accomplished in 1 hour. Off to his side are 2 pair of shoes waiting for their owners to pick up before Carl closes up his curbside shop at 4 p.m. Could he suggest that this young executive borrow one of these pairs for a couple hours? A quick glance tells him that both pairs are too large for his waiting client. Having been an observer of feet and shoes for many years enables Carl to quickly assess one's foot size. Coincidentally, this client's foot is close to Carl's foot size. Should he offer to let this young man borrow his shoes for a few hours? Turning away from the challenging task at hand, Carl wants to be of help, but today he wore his most expensive leathers from Saks Fifth Avenue. A diamond is supposedly a girl's best friend, but for Carl, his $1,000 plus deerskin triple stitch sneakers take that honor. Pros and cons fleet quickly through his mind as he considers a remedy to this client's situation. Would the young man even agree to wearing another person's shoes for 3 hours? Would Carl's shoes be stretched or infused with a disagreeable odor when returned to him? This is one uncustomary dilemma for a former hotel general manager turned shoeshine man.
Hi, my name is Mary Earl, and the fun part of this writing experiment is that we all saw something different when we looked in the picture. And as I looked at it, I wondered what the writing was on the wall behind the shoeshine man. A bit of Googling found that the language is Turkish. So my shoeshine man is located in Turkey, and he is shining the shoes of his last customer of the day, reflecting on his life and answering questions. My mind wanders as I work. I had dreams, a wife, a family, a shoeshine shop in America. But dreams are just that, dreams, and I am still in Turkey. Turkey is my homeland, but I wanted to take my family to a land of opportunity. I wanted more than a shoeshine box on the same corner as when I started. Oh, I'm sorry. What did you say? How long have I been shining shoes? I started polishing shoes when I was 12. Times were still hard after the Great Depression and the war. Education was a luxury. Guess that makes it 65 years. I'm ready for the other shoe. America may have been the land of opportunity, But life had been good to us. Our home is small, but it holds memories. My wife is a penny pincher. That woman could make a head of cabbage feed us for 3 days. She calls herself a food engineer. Those pennies came in handy when our son was born and then our daughter. A wife, son, and daughter. I felt the weight on my shoulders. Children? Oh, yes, we had 2. One son is a doctor in the big city. Our daughter is married and is a very traditional Turkish wife. We are blessed with 6 grandchildren and 23 great-grandchildren. All done. Oh, well, thank you for the tip. The customer. As I walked away, I turned and looked at the old man. It was then that I saw the real man, a man who had worked hard to support his family. He was moving slowly as if he barely had the energy to breathe. I saw his hands with brown and black stains that would never wash off. I saw the wrinkles on his face. I saw his eyes as he looked around. 65 years of bending over to put that shine on shoe after shoe after shoe had caused his body to stoop instead of standing up straight. And then, as he picked up his shoe shine box, I saw him lift his head and smile. The wrinkles seemed to soften as the tiredness drained away. The day was over, and he was going home.
I'm Kathy Metzger. Bill Moyer, the shoe shiner, is working on a pair of shoes on the feet of Mr. Morrow. He's wondering if, after he's finished Mr. Morrow's shine, he could sell him a pair of lightly used shoes from the stock he has built from buying extra pairs from customer Stephen Jones, whose shoes are on the floor next to him. Stephen Jones's daughter has tuberculosis, and Bill knows he has had to cut corners in various ways to pay the bills, so offered to buy the pairs with plenty of usable life in them to sell. He thinks Mr. Morrow could use an extra pair. He's always wearing the ones he has on today, but is a successful man who could afford a second pair. He's thinking about how to bring up the idea without seeming to suggest that the pair Mr. Morrow is wearing is in any way deficient, or that they aren't suitable, but just that it might be nice to have another pair to give a rest for airing out to his usual ones. Could work out well for everyone and get his inventory of used shoes down. He'll give it a try.
And I'm Joanne Shull. Disgust. Yeah, that's what he feels. He's totally and permanently disgusted at what happened to him. He can't get away from the feeling. Him, Mac McGuire, disgusted. It took him 9 long years to build this business, 9 years to convince people that he could repair anything that had wheels and a motor. 9 years of long hours and sinking any money he had back into his shop to buy tools and eventually buy the building too. 9 years to show people he was honest and good with his hands so they'd keep coming back. And it paid off for a while. At the end of those 9 years, he had more business than he could handle. He was hesitant to do it, but decided he'd take a partner. There was a guy at church that said he was good with his hands, and he knew something about accounting, too. He was friendly to Mac, seemed like a good guy. He jumped at the chance to start working with Mac. At first, it was a bit rocky. Bill wasn't as good a repairman as he said he was, but he seemed like a nice guy, willing to learn, and when people complained about the work, he and Mac always made things right. Bill was trying, and he was learning. He was learning slower than Mac wanted, but he was so clearly trying. Customers liked him. He was friendly, and he took over the books, the part of the business that Mac absolutely hated. And Mac didn't have the heart to fire him. After about a year, the shop's profits seemed to be going down. Mac didn't understand it because business was still really good. But Bill showed him the books and talked him through everything, and everything just seemed to be on the up and up. It gradually got worse. Business fell off a bit, but Bill said he'd take a salary cut, and they kept on going. Bill convinced Mac that the times were tough for everybody, and they'd come through okay, although Mac worried a lot. Then the guy from the bank came and accused Mac of not paying his mortgage on the building for 3 months in a row. Bill seemed embarrassed, but he said there wasn't enough money to pay the late bills. And wouldn't you know it, the bank took over the building. The bank guys said they were sorry, but it was only a business decision. Mac had to sell out. And wouldn't you know it, the guy who bought the business was Bill. Mac was pretty sure Bill had ruined him on purpose. There must have been some sort of cheating going on, but he couldn't prove it, and he sure couldn't afford a lawyer. Disgusted. Yeah, Bill acted all generous and said Mac could keep working there at a reduced salary since times were tough. He could make a little more by polishing customers' shoes if he could talk them into it. Him, Mac, polishing shoes. And what was Bill doing, driving a new car anyway? Times were tough? Well, for Mac, he'd been had. It was purely disgusting.
I think you might agree with Marie and Mary when they say that we come at the same topic from a marvelous diversity of angles. My own piece, in fact, due to circumstances beyond my control, is a real outlier. I went the route of nonfiction. Oh yes, my name is Eileen Flory. Thank you. A cheeky shoeshine boy in Mexico once asked me if I wanted him to shine my sandals. I gave him a couple of pesos for his effort. I used to say that whenever my current pair of sandals wore out, I needed to take a trip to Mexico to get a new pair. I seem to have tried all kinds. First, it was generic Mexican huaraches. They were finely woven and comfortable with a charming squeakiness. You remember that? I came to them well before they were popularized by hippies in the 60s and went through several pairs. In my youth, I did some anthropological field work in a couple of places in Mexico. One was called El Niz. In El Niz, my sturdy, almost closed huaraches protected me from the rocks and general prickliness of the high, dry Mezquital Valley, and dirt entered through the toe opening and left by way of the heel. In Piedra Grande, people dispense with sandals altogether and simply go barefoot. It's damper in the foothills of the eastern mountains without the prickliness of El Niz, and bare feet are especially convenient when you have to wade through the wide stream that runs through town. I went barefoot for a while too, until I reverted to my sneakers for comfort. One day at a museum conference I was attending in San Diego, a Mexican presenter invited us to an exhibit opening over the border in Tijuana. I took him up on the offer, but somehow the opening never materialized. So I wandered around Tijuana for a while and then decided to cut my losses and go back. Naturally, I bought a pair of sandals first. The museum where I was working assigned me to go to Mexico's Copper Canyon for a few days and scope out a possible members trip. The people who live there, the Tarahumara, are famous for their long-distance running, which they do in sandals. Sadly, the pair I bought turned out to be unwearable for me, though I loved their elegant design of one leather strap that goes between the toes, over the instep, and around the ankle a few times. Later, as I purchased items in Chiapas, Mexico, to furnish the walk-in contemporary Maya dwelling in the museum's new anthropology exhibit hall, I included sandals from the area for the project. Those sandals and a woven sash or two were the only things ever stolen by visitors in all the years I worked there. Now I wear sandals made of some kind of synthetic rubber, the whole affair replete with Velcro. I paid Land's End $35 for them, likely more than I paid for a lifetime's worth of other sandals, but they are kinder to my plantar fasciitis. Ever the editor, I did carve away that pesky, misplaced apostrophe in the brand name where it's molded into the soles. Thank you for coming today.